Give her.
Oh, you started it. Okay. So Pete, how's the market doing? Is it loosening up at all, or what's going
Well, you
on?
would think, because we actually have about 23.5% more new listings come on than we did last year at this time, which is a pretty darn good amount of new listings. In fact, we have almost 5,500 more listings come onto the market in March than we did in March of last year. So you think, right? You think if you were a buyer, you'd have more options, and you don't. You have less.
What?
Yeah. So in terms of sales, we sold 4,107 homes just in March in Calgary. That's a record.
Wow, that's a record. That is a 41.5% increase.
Yeah, so what that means is, even though, like I mentioned, the number of new listings coming onto the market is way up, it's about 23.5%. When you're seeing a 40% or more increase in sales, demand is still outpacing supply. So it almost like it didn't even really help. In fact, what has inventory done since March last year?
Inventory has actually been down 19.5%.
March over March.
Yeah.
So even though we had a 23.5% increase in new listings, inventory is still down 20% from last year in March. So what that leaves us with is a 1 month supply.
Yeah, a 1 month supply. So that is a decrease of 43.1%.
And that's across the whole real estate board. So that's not just detached homes. That includes the slower markets like the apartment market. And what that means that if we stop listing homes right now, that within a month or in a couple of days, we'd have nothing left to sell. It would take us just about a month or just over a month to have nothing left for sale. It's pretty wild. And that is what's driving prices up. So when people are saying our prices started to even off, I'd say no, actually, I think they're accelerating upwards, especially in some markets.
Yeah.
Which market do you think is seeing the highest price acceleration?
Well, the highest would be the detached market right now.
That's right.
Yeah,
Still
and
are.
that is an increase of 20.5% actually.
Yeah, 20.5%. So what that means is last year, when your house was worth $500,000, if you owned a house last year, thank the Lord above. Because last year, if your house was worth $500,000, you're $100,000 richer this year. Your house is worth over $600,000. In fact, it's worth $620,000 is what the average price is, and that's the average price of a home in Calgary now is $620,000. Still nothing like Toronto, nothing like Vancouver, but if we're going to go up 20%. Year over year, and that's only accelerating. Who knows what the top could look like?
Yeah, exactly. So now when we look at row prices, so that would be your townhomes, that's also up an increase of about 16.5%.
Yeah, townhouses are selling for $335,000 is what the average townhouse in the city is now. And as you remember, if you've been watching our videos for a while, townhouses have been struggling. So an increase of 16%. Like I said, it might not be as exciting as a 20% increase in the detached market, but 16.5% is pretty good.
That is.
And it's like I've been saying for a while, you're going to see the detached market take off. And then eventually the rising tide will lift all ships. And you're seeing the detached market. Duplexes are basically doing the same thing, aren't they? They're up about the same amount.
They're about up 16 and 16.3 actually.
Yeah, so the percentage increase is about the same. The detached market is selling for a little higher because we're including some of these half duplexes in the inner city and stuff like that. Some of these ones that are selling for $1 million. So the average price of a semi-detached house is close to $500,000. It's $478,000, but increasing at 16%. Year over year, not month over month, by the way. We're still, just to remember, we're going March of this year versus March of last year.
Last year, exactly.
Yeah.
The apartments are not as exciting as the rest of the market's doing. It's only up by 6%.
Yeah, 6%. So the average price is $265,000 now in an apartment. But what you got to be really careful with, every market segment you can break down over geographical area and age of the home and stuff like that. But I find with apartments in particular, there's a pretty big variance. Like the apartments downtown are really still struggling. There is still a 30% vacancy in the Beltline at one time. I think that's starting to tighten up a little bit. But it's got, there's going to be some time before you're starting to see the condo market in the downtown pick up. Additionally, The other way to break up the apartment market is, one bedroom to two bedroom. And I've been saying this for months now, is the one bedroom apartment market is still not going anywhere. It's still pretty much where it was. And during COVID, which, during COVID, it would make sense to not have a one bedroom condo because you can't have a roommate. You can barely work from home. There's barely any room. Yeah. But with 400,000 immigrants coming into this country every year now, plus the Ukrainian refugees that we're welcoming in here, I'm thinking that, as one of our government leaders said recently, it's a pretty simple IQ test as to where they're going to end up. You could, going to Vancouver or the Fraser Valley you're going to be spending 3 times what you're going to be spending here. The same thing goes for Toronto or Southern Ontario. So I think if you're an immigrant, you're not going to be living there anymore. You can't afford it. You'll be coming to Alberta, which is turning into the land of opportunity again. And I would think especially Calgary because, well, it's just way better than Edmonton. So there's that.
Oh, that's a diss.
It's just reality.
So then now when we're actually looking at the different regions, there was about a 15 to 20% increase in all the regions, but the one that's actually done substantially well is actually the deep southeast. So that's up about 23%.
Yeah, they're killing it again, and they continue to. That's been the trend for a while. So that includes areas like Cranston, Mahogany, and those areas around there. That area just continues to get better and better and better. And I think as the Seton development, for example, continues to develop and more things are available in the area in terms of shopping and even recreation, that kind of stuff, it's only going to get better yet. Mm-hmm. The area of the city, like I mentioned earlier, that is actually suffering is still the city center. It got gutted during the oil and gas price meltdown of a couple of years ago, and it still has lots of room to recover before the vacancies fill up and you start to see prices move up. Downtown is only up; it's up less than 7%. It's up 6.9% versus March of last year. But like I said, put your seatbelt on. Downtown's going to take off. I've been saying it for a while, and I'm still saying it. Time will tell if I'm right or wrong, but I'm pretty confident that if you want to invest, the place to invest would be downtown. I think it's got nowhere to go but up right now. So that's our market report for this month. If you want any additional information, just get a hold of Katelyn or get a hold of me. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions because, of course, every market segment can be broken down some more. A two-story in Tuscany might not have the same market conditions as a two-story in Forest Lawn. So an apartment in Pembroke might not be, the same kind of market as an apartment downtown or apartment on the west side or whatever. So feel free to talk to us about your market, whether it's a house or a detached house or an apartment or whatever. We're happy to chat with you and give you some really good market info on some market intel on what's going on in your particular market. And otherwise, ask us any real estate questions. We're always happy to answer. You can answer in the comments below, or you can phone or text us anytime. You can reach us anytime at, the numbers are at the end of the video, but my number is 403-818-7310. You got a cell phone?
I do, yeah. 403-615-2346.
Yeah, and like I said, our numbers are at the end of the video. Our email should be there as well. So ask us anything. We're happy to chat real estate anytime. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Oh, you're still. Oh.
Just.